This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. For any of you that follow my Facebook, you know that I'm fascinated with the political campaign of one Donald Trump. Not because I think he's a savior, not because I even know what his positions might be. His positions seem to change quite a bit. But I'm fascinated by what Trump has done to the establishment. On all sides, Trump is causing the establishment to literally wet their pants. The tactics and strategies they are using to counter Donald Trump are arguably even worse than the ones that he has been using. In my adult lifetime, I have never seen the establishment literally cry. Because this comes down to one thing. Those that have the power, those that control the power levers right now, don't want to give it up. There are too many Republicans in line behind the so-called establishment candidates to get the political goodies if their guy gets in. Trump is not their guy. Upset the apple cart in a major way. The hope that I could see in someone like Trump is that he might, just might, maybe, the slightest chance, make a dent in the deep state. That all-encompassing, tentacles surrounding, squeezing you tight, Washington, D.C. political establishment, where frankly, there is no difference between Hillary Clinton and Marco Rubio, except on some of the issues that frankly are not as important from a big picture standpoint regarding the health of the country, the overall economic health. Those two, they're the same, exact same. Put Trump in. If it goes to hell in a handbasket, how can that hell in a handbasket be any worse than the last 4 presidents we've had? Let me give an example about breaking the monopoly grip on the deep state. The lottery, Powerball. Ever since my film broke the New American Dream, titled because I believe by people's actions, they actually want to be broke. By their actions, they are literally carving out a new American dream, which is to be broke. That was the logic of that title, if you were curious. But in that film, I went after banks. I went after the government. I really went after the government about the lottery and Powerball. Because the lottery and Powerball is one of the most insidious, sadistic taxes on the less fortunate that could ever possibly be devised. It's truly sick. Now, for those of you that don't recall my exact excerpt in my film about the lottery, go to Google, type in my last name, the word broke, and Vimeo, Vimeo, the file sharing service for videos. You will easily find this clip on the lottery from my film. I think that will help you to get even more into the mind frame of where I'm going today. Because something like 30% of the American public think the best chance for them to get $500,000 for retirement is through Powerball, the lottery. Of course, that's mindless. But how did that become so mindless? Did the state possibly manipulate people to think that playing Powerball could be like investing? Could you ever imagine such noble servants, noble public servants, using the lottery as a way to convince people that it's actually investing? Could you see the state doing this? Well, damn sure they could do it. I'm about to play a commercial, a lottery commercial from the state of Virginia. I might be the only person in possession of this audio. I actually have the video too. In their infinite wisdom, because let's face it, they really don't care about you or the public. They just care about keeping the state power going, and whoever has control of the state power needs more money to keep the power. So the Virginia Lottery decided we need more people to play the lottery. And since we think we can manipulate people into thinking that the lottery is a form of investing, then we should go ahead and create a commercial with a doppelganger of Jim Cramer, a Jim Cramer lookalike, with the whole Mad Money setup, screaming, yelling, bald guy, whatever, the whole thing. And we will do a fake commercial based on Cramer, getting people to think of investing, Cramer investing, Cramer investing, and then we'll switch it. And our guy, our doppelganger, he's going to pump the Powerball. He's going to pump the lottery. That's some really sick shit, isn't it? My home state did this. I did all of the Freedom of Information requests to find the video, to find the information of how this even went down. I wanted to see the notes of these state employees that actually sat down and said, you know what? Let's get the Virginia public to think if they play the lottery, it's kind of like investing. Let's connect this to Cramer. Guess what? Those sons of bitches never gave me the documents. They said, well, maybe we just talked about it in a meeting. Oh, that's such bullshit. You know they've got the documents. You know they had the documents. They refused to give them over. Again, why does somebody like Trump excite me? Not because of whether Trump is a good guy or a bad guy, but if, damn it, somebody can break the stranglehold on state power, state corruption, state abuse, I get excited. So again, check out this lottery clip from me. Covel, Vimeo, broke. Type it in Google. The clip will come up really quick. But as I was just mentioning, let me play this audio of this Jim Cramer lookalike commercial produced by the Virginia Lottery to convince the state of Virginia residents that playing the lottery was like investing.
I'm Mike Turner. Let's talk money! To win big bucks. What's my pick? The $100 million cash extravaganza with the highest prize payout in the history of Virginia Lottery. 75% returned in prizes. It's got 10 $1 million prizes and tons more big winners. And now, a few words from our sponsor.
$100 million cash extravaganza from the Virginia Lottery. 7 $1 million top prizes remaining.
That's just a fantastic piece of Nazi-level propaganda. Now, I know people always use this term Nazi, Hitler, etc. But what do you call that? The poorest people, the ones with the least amount of money, the least amount of education, were purposefully targeted by the state of Virginia to convince them in their mind that playing the lottery was like investing. Again, that's some really sick shit. Let me calm down for a moment. I want to read an article from my friend Barry Ritholtz directly at this topic in a slightly more calmed down manner than me, but I have a feeling Barry is just as passionate about how abusive the state is with this piece of junk lottery system. Now, I can't say that Barry, I seriously doubt this, I've not looked at his Twitter feed in a while, I can't say that Barry would actually think that Trump could possibly solve the lottery crisis. And I'm not saying Trump would solve the lottery crisis either, but I just want a dent in this deep state power. That's all I want. Some kind of a dent. Can the train come off the tracks just a little bit? And if America goes crazy with Trump as a president over the next 4 years, well, we can elect the next eunuch standing in line, because we've got hundreds of eunuchs standing in line, passionless, vapid creatures of Washington, D.C., and we know exactly what they will say and what they will do. Now, let me read this article from Barry Ritholtz. And this article is from mid-January 2016, right around the $1.5 or so billion Powerball lottery drawing. Again, this is from Barry Ritholtz. By now, you're likely sick of all the chatter about tonight's astounding $1.5 billion Powerball lottery drawing. I've been quite critical of lotteries in the past. They are a classic grab for the free lunch, a desire for the benefits of wealth without the sweat and hard labor. This is no small issue. As a nation, our lottery habit is truly stupendous. He quotes, Americans spend more than $70 billion on state-run lotteries. To put that into context, that's more money than Americans spend on sports tickets, books, video games, movie tickets, and music, plus all types of apps, games, and programs bought from Apple's iTunes App Store combined. $70 billion. That's a ridiculous amount of money. Barry goes on to say, I've long believed that what you get for your $2 Powerball ticket is the opportunity to fantasize what you would do with your newly acquired hundreds of millions of dollars. He goes on to say, disclosure, I bought $20 of tickets for tonight's drawing. As my Bloomberg View colleague Matt Levine explained, for me, being $2 poorer would not impact my quality of life at all, while being 1.4 billion richer with probability 0.0001, and yes, I know there are taxes and a lump sum haircut, would impact my quality of life really quite a whole lot. Barry continues, for most people, that's exactly right. The $2 won't hurt you. With the upside, it's a game changer. However, you're not most people. If you're reading this, you most likely are not looking for a way out of poverty or despair. Lottery tickets, scratch-offs, and other such unlikely long shots are primarily the province of the poorest citizens. This probably is who Mark Twain, or maybe Samuel Johnson, had in mind when he observed that gambling is a tax on stupidity. The pushback to the idea that gambling is a tax on the feeble-minded is the notion that investing is a little different from buying lottery tickets. It's a big capitalist casino with sky-high odds that put almost everyone at a disadvantage. So here's the question. Is investing like gambling? The short answer is, it shouldn't be. The longer answer is more nuanced, although the simple truth is that for some, perhaps most people, investing is almost always indistinguishable from gambling. Spoiler alert, it depends upon how you do it. When a person is gambling, they are relying on an event's random outcome over which they have little or no control. Whether it's the slots or craps or roulette or Powerball, games of chance are just that. Other games, such as poker or blackjack, require some skill, although luck remains a key aspect of the outcome. A unifying issue across all of these is that the odds are stacked against the gambler, with the house invariably the winner. If that description reminds you of your own portfolio, then you have an investment process problem. Your goal as an investor should be to eliminate as much of the element of chance from your process and, like the house, stack the odds in your favor. This is true whether you are actively pursuing alpha, market-beating returns, or passively accepting beta that matches the market. How do you become the house? You understand the nature of risk, are comfortable with the idea of uncertainty, rely on long-term measures of valuation. A slight counter to Barry here, as everyone listening to this podcast might know, that I tend to think long-term measures of valuation are slippery fundamentals. Continuing. How do you become the house? You use mean reversion as a guideline to unknown future outcomes. Allow time to work in your favor. understand the impact of leverage, recognize the folly of relying on forecasts, consider all possible outcomes, including extremely rare black swan events, accept that some losses are inevitable. In short, you do everything you can to ensure that your methodology is sound. You must recognize that while you can control the investing process, you have no control over any single investing outcome. Please, can I repeat that one more time? You must recognize that while you can control the investing process, you have no control over any single investing outcome. That's the full difference between investing done right and gambling. Investing done wrong doesn't meet most or all of the above qualifications. It becomes speculation, which is just a polite term for gambling. I have to disagree there a little bit, maybe a lot. Speculation is not a pejorative. Speculation done right is exactly 100% the way you want to be. Now, frankly, I think I'm picking a small point here because I think Barry and I are saying the same thing. I'm really just quibbling over definitions and word choice usage. He concludes, in light of the Powerball drawing this evening, the question presented to each of us is simply this: are you an investor or a gambler? A great quick read from Barry Ritholtz. Most all of that I've composed and put in my books and my writings at one time or another in the last 15 years. And so you can see, when you break down Powerball to the odds, you break down Powerball to the numbers, and you don't have a snowball's chance in hell, and you're well off and you want to go take a flyer and have fun, fine, do it. Why not? Who cares? But you're not the target. When those employees of the state of Virginia sat down in a conference room and started talking amongst themselves and said, you know what? We really need to convince people that the lottery isn't gambling. We want to convince people the lottery is an investing form, an investing format. Those bastards knew who they were targeting. They knew they were targeting people that maybe didn't finish high school, maybe didn't even have a high school education. They were going straight for the people with the least amount of education and the least money. Most of us don't even like to talk about those people. Maybe we don't come in contact with them. I'm not saying I do all the time, but I know they're there. Because that 70 billion that Barry sources, it comes from those people. Those people that otherwise, and maybe this is some of my slight rationale for thinking Trump could be good. As much as you might hate Trump or love him, some people love him, as much as you might hate Trump, this guy's a doer. This guy gets stuff done. Now, maybe he gets nothing done as president of the United States in terms of legislation. And frankly, from my humble perspective, that'd be great. I don't want the government to get anything done. I don't want the government to do anything. I want the government to shrink and go away as much as possible. So I don't want government achievement. Government achievement is an oxymoron. Government achievement is nonsensical. But go along with my hypothetical for a moment. Trump gets in. The Republicans hate him. The Democrats hate him. He can't get anything done. But if Trump could talk to those people that are playing the lottery, using the bully pulpit, if Trump could just pass along some of that, The Apprentice TV show, or his developer instinct, his entrepreneurial instinct, if he could just talk to people about what it's like to do well, how to start, how to put one foot forward, and that you don't do that by playing the lottery all the time. So if everything else failed about Trump, but he could have an entrepreneurial bully pulpit to talk to people about success? America could use a self-help course, a self-help teacher. The whole damn country could. I mean, it's not going to be someone like Rubio. Rubio looks like a kid on stage. He's never hired anybody. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have accepted, drum roll please, $153 million in speaking fees since the year 2000. Now, how in the world the lowest of the low classes of Democrats, the poorest of the Democratic side, can think voting for one of the biggest freaking insiders is good for them? I don't know. But then again, I would take this a step further. I'm not really so sure the election of anybody is good for anybody. It's all on you. You have to make it happen. You have to have your investing strategy. You have to learn not to be a gambler. I just think there's a slight possibility that Trump could talk better to people. And let me explain that talking to people better. I was at an event in Saigon, Vietnam, fall of 2015. Sunday afternoon, I get called by a friend who's speaking at this event. He says, come on over. Richard Branson is speaking. I got there late. I didn't see any of the other presentations. I went in a back door. I was basically standing in the green room, 5 or 6 people that were all the head honchos and speakers. They said, okay, let's walk outside and let's go hear Branson speak. So we walked up these stairs. We walked down these stairs. Next thing you know, I'm in this huge auditorium. I'd say around 7,000 young people, basically 20s, 30s, maybe some 40s, all there to hear Richard Branson. There was a real electric feeling in the room. I mean, it was pretty much packed. We walked up to the front row. They brought Branson out to give a presentation. Actually, it was a Q&A. I've talked about this in my podcast before. But he had no energy. He gave no presentation to the people that came to hear him. Nothing about, hey, here's what you want to do, your first step for making your first million. Here's the first step you should take. Nothing like that. He gave a global warming spiel. Save the planet, save the seals, save the ducks, save everything. I'm not knocking Richard Branson. Obviously, the guy's super successful. He's a great entrepreneur. But for the particular event that I went to, he was flat. He did not inspire. He didn't give that audience of would-be entrepreneurs anything. He sounded like a politician. He sounded like every last American politician that I've ever heard talk in my lifetime. Dead. And of course, hey, look, there's probably people listening that are Richard Branson friends or Richard Branson employees. I'm not really trying to rip him, but I am ripping this one particular event that I saw him speak at because it was god-awful. And that god-awful, again, this is what the typical American politician is. They're going to give you a goodie bag. They're going to give you money. They're going to do everything for you. You're basically a slave. You're a slave hooked up to a feeding tube, waiting for your next armful, your next IV full of Soylent Green. And if you don't know what Soylent Green is, just type it in the internet and watch the video of Charlton Heston. My dream thus becomes, whether Trump is the messenger or someone else, I simply want somebody to be elected president of the United States of America that stands at that lectern and doesn't tell me what they can do for me. Just tell me how you did something. Tell me your success. Let me follow your success story. Let me learn from you. Don't tell me what you can do for me, because it's all bullshit. You know it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. I don't want to believe the bullshit. So don't give me the bullshit. Now, of course, some people aren't going to like my rabid approach. Some people still need a father figure. They still need a daddy. They still need to be tucked in at night, even if the tucking in is by the central bank, which promises you sugar plum fairies, an ever-increasing stock market, the occasional 50 or 60% crash. But we should be so lucky to have such caring individuals. No, I don't want any of that. But plenty of you do. You want that person, that individual that you can look up to, that you can feel comfortable about. Because you've not yet figured out that life is uncertain, that your fate is uncertain. You can't control it. And if you don't look inward, if you don't look to yourself, there's plenty of other people out there willing to tell you on a given moment's notice how they can help. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.